I just got back from Collecticon Charlotte, and in today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a recap of my first Collecticon experience, and I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a tour. Now, I will say that the video that I captured via my GoPro, for some reason, has a lot of motion blur in it, so unfortunately, it kind of sucks, but I still think you're able to get a good idea of everything that happened there, all the different booths, all the different cards we saw, and just the overall feel of the event. Let's start the tour. So while you get the tour here, I'm going to just go over, I don't know, my expectations and if they were met, the things that we did at Collecticon, the things we saw, and just the overall experience of a lot of the stuff that we experienced there. It was super fun. It's the second con that I've ever been to. I went to Chicago Comic-Con probably like 10 years ago now. So my expectations going in was that this was going to be like a big thing. People always talk about Collecticon like it's like a big thing, like it's the big card show of the year, and it didn't feel very big. And maybe it was this particular one because it's Charlotte, it's not Dallas, it's not Denver, it's not in some of these other kind of larger cities. It wasn't in like a super large venue. It was in a convention center, and the venue was big, but it wasn't like knock your socks off. Now, I think this was like the third or fourth Collecticon that they've done so far this year, and I was really looking forward to some sort of big thing happening. I think in Dallas they had the $250,000 metazoo tournament. In the Collecticon before that, I think they did like $1 million box break where they did like a first edition Pokemon and then like a metazoo first edition and an alpha magic box, and it just seemed like I was really looking for that big thing, and there wasn't one for Charlotte. They didn't really have like a big thing happening, like a big kind of tentpole event happening for the event itself. It was just kind of the vendors, and then you had the voice actors and everything that you could get their autographs. There was the Vanilla Ice concert on Saturday, and then I think on Sunday they did a lot of the panels with the voice actors and actresses, and a lot of content creators, different YouTubers and stuff actually were running the panels. So it did feel like a legitimate convention, but there wasn't anything in particular that really kind of spiced it up. Now, the first thing that was kind of unfortunate was the line situation. The lines outside were rough. Initially, we were all in one line, but then there were people who bought VIP tickets who could get in an hour earlier than the people who bought general admissions tickets. So eventually, people started to kind of separate themselves, like, oh, VIP line over here, Gen Ed line over here. But then the staff was confused on who was in what line, and then they had to make a third line of people who hadn't paid for tickets at all yet. It was kind of a mess right away. And it was pretty hot. We were in the south. I think it was in the 80s. The sun is super hot. It's super humid here. So standing outside in line for over an hour with moving back and forth between lines and trying to figure out everything that was going on was a bit tedious. You would think in their like third Collecticon this year they'd have the line structure figured out already, but they got it eventually. I can't complain too much. We did get in the event, and you're just hit immediately with cards and pop Funkos and video games and comic books and literally anything that you could think of that you'd be looking for at this thing. There's just tables upon binders upon slabs. It's everywhere, and to some extent it's pretty overwhelming, because if you are looking for like specific cards or specific types of cards or whatever, you have so much to choose from, and everything at each of the booths is a different price. So, and you're going to have some people running booths where you can haggle a little bit more with some other people who are more strict on their prices. So if you're really looking for a single card, you might look at all the different tables to try and figure out who's got the best price or who's willing to haggle, and it can be quite a while before you're really able to snag that card that you're looking for because you're trying to find the best price. On top of that, Sunday seemed to be the day when everyone gave a lot of discounts. So a lot of people go for the one day on Saturday, but if you come back Sunday, a lot of people were having like 10-15% off slabs, and you were able to get some pretty good deals with that. I didn't actually buy a lot. The things that I bought, I think I actually only bought one thing. Or no, two things. So there was one vendor there that had a ton of these crazy 90s like packs of like dead trading cards and collectibles. And a buddy of mine, Kyle, who I went with, he was into all that stuff. He bought a bunch of like Batman packs and Marvel packs and Disney packs and all these different, because they were like $1 a piece. So he just went in and went ham and bought a bunch of those packs. There were some Marvel packs that I bought that were from 1993, I think, maybe Series 2 or Series 3 of Masterpieces. and they were $3 a piece. So I thought I'd buy like 5 of those and see if I could pull a holo or some cool, Marvel heroes. I ended up pulling like a Wolverine and a Deadpool and some really cool Captain America, some really cool heroes from that set, which was awesome. And the other thing I bought was a metazoo Wilderness booster box. So there was everyone there was like 90 to 105 for the Wilderness booster boxes. There was one booth that had them for $79. So I had to buy one because on eBay they go for like 100, 110 bucks. And that was just a deal. That was a steal of a deal. So I bought that. And then right next to that place was the metazoo booth. I got to tell you guys, for all you guys that are like, metazoo's going to die, it's only going to be around for a little while, that booth had a 20 to 50 person line every single time you looked at it. And I don't know what for, because I never got in the line because it was always too long. I think at some point they were giving away like tickets to get in on the serialized plushies that they were going to be having. I think they're also giving out a Collecticon promo card. And then on top of that, they had some artists there that were doing autographs. That was one thing that I took advantage of because I had that Wilderness booster box and I was like, well, I'm going to keep this sealed. I might as well get it autographed by like the girl that drew Bigfoot and like the different artists that actually drew for, I think the girl who drew Bigfoot, another girl who drew like Green Dragon and other characters. And then there was a guy there who drew, oh man, I don't remember which characters, but they had 3 of the artists there signing stuff. And I had them all 3 sign my booster box. And that was really cool because I have that now, sealed Wilderness first edition booster box with 3 signatures, and they actually did little doodles of artwork and everything on it as well. It was super cool. But yeah, for everyone thinking that metazoo is just going to die, like there is hype around it. There is a lot of hype around it, and there is a lot of people there both playing metazoo, and that line was long. Every time you looked at it, there was at least 20 people, 30 people in that line at all times. So some of the other cool things, there is a lot of TCGs there, like other TCGs, startup TCGs, stuff that just came out of Kickstarter. There was Titan, which I think Diamond Service Grading is created, or they had some sort of partnership with. And then there was D-Spirits, and there was Maelstrom, and there were so many. I don't remember all the names of all of them, but I got a promo card from basically every booth because we stopped to see what they were all about. And some of the more promising ones, in my opinion, I thought Maelstrom had really cool artwork. It's kind of like an anime style artwork that reminds me a lot of like the new Digimon cards or the new Dragon Ball cards. I thought it looked really nice. And then the other one that I really liked was the Titan TCG. Kyle, who came with me, he actually sat down and played the TCG with someone who was there, who was doing like mock kind of one-on-ones basically to teach you the game and stuff. And he sat down and played that, and he's a person who's played a lot of TCGs, a big Magic player, and he had a lot of fun with what they played. And the artwork on those is super cool because it uses the Greek pantheon of gods. I don't know if it's just the Greek. There was a Hades and a Zeus deck, so I'm assuming it's just the Greek pantheon, but maybe they could go into other pantheons later. That would be super cool. Another thing, so lots of CGC slabs, lots of PSA slabs, some Beckett slabs, but most slabs, maybe not most slabs, there were so many slabs that were what I guess people would consider junk slabs. So many of them, so many PSA, 9s, 10s, 8s that are just like commons, uncommons of modern sets. It's like, what are you doing grading that? Like, it was so weird. A lot of the sets, a lot of like the clearance slabs and stuff were just these regular V's and these like reverse hollows and stuff. And it's like, oh, why are you grading that stuff? So there was a lot of just like junk type slabs there. There was a lot of vintage stuff, but not as much as you would think. There were quite a few like vintage packs. We saw Fossil, Rocket, and some Japanese packs, and Gym Heroes, and some other stuff. But in terms of booster boxes, like vintage boxes, not a lot. There was one Majestic Dawn box, which is a Diamond Pearl, and there was one Gym Heroes box. I think those are the only 2 vintage boxes I remember seeing. But there was definitely quite a few vintage packs and a lot of modern stuff. And it ranged all the way from like way overpriced to pretty good deals. Kind of around what you would find at the store, maybe a little bit less. And So, like I said, pretty much anything that you could possibly want. There were people selling slabbed singles. There were people selling just regular singles. Um, there were people. There was not a whole lot of Japanese. Most of the floor was English. There were a couple of booths that had quite a bit of Japanese cards, but most of it was English. Which was a little disappointing to me, but it did seem like the stuff there that was Japanese was priced a little bit higher, probably because it was Japanese. Like, harder for people to find Japanese unless they're willing to deal with, Bai and those services that are kind of a pain in the ass. So they seemed like they'd be a little bit higher than what I could find on Bai. But it was nice to see some of it, some of the card ass. A lot of like Pokemon, the poker cards that are graded with BGS. Some of those I saw there. It's just a lot, man. It is a lot, and it is overwhelming to a certain extent. Now, one of the coolest things, and one of my biggest reasons for going, was there were some YouTubers there that actually had booths and were selling cards that I got to meet, and it was super cool to meet them. There was Jake from Pokenomics, there was Dan from Catch 'Em All Collectibles, and there was Nick from Old School Pokemon. All those YouTube channels, you guys definitely need to check them out, especially if you're into the speculating and investing in Pokemon, especially vintage Pokemon, sometimes modern. Those guys are awesome. They were super nice. It was fantastic to meet them. I'm in their Discord as well. I've learned a lot from them, and they've saved me a shitload of money. So, yeah, definitely check out their channels. It was super nice to meet them. I actually got them to autograph some kind of Mimi cards from some sets that they talk about on their channels, and it was super cool to see that. There was also some really big hitter like Pokemon greats that were there as well. There was Rusty from TCA Gaming. He showed up. There was also Gem Mint Pokemon Zach. He was there as well. And there was Charlie Herlocker, if you know him from Instagram. A lot of those like big Pokemon, big hitter guys in Pokemon were also there, and we saw them as well, which was super cool. It's just super cool to see like these greats, like these people you look up to and their channels and everything, stuff you're trying to work toward, and then you meet them and they're super like nice. They're just awesome dudes. And they're humble, and they're just kind, and they want to meet you, and they want to talk to you, and they want to get to know you, and it's super cool. So a lot of times people say like don't meet your heroes, that's one of those things, but it seems like in the Pokemon space, like a lot of these people are very nice people, which I think is fantastic. And it's been great getting to meet like the Green Shiz I did a video with recently, super nice guy. And on top of that, all the people I met at Collecticon were just fantastic. And it was an overall great experience. So if you ever get a chance to go, I definitely would recommend it. What I would say, though, is you should choose a Collecticon that's going to have like a big headliner event. So like a massive box break or a big tournament or something there that is going to provide some entertainment to you. Entertainment. I didn't talk about the Vanilla Ice concert. The big headlining event, the Vanilla Ice concert. So it wasn't as bad as you would think. I know a lot of people would probably, scoff at the Vanilla Ice, and he does go to all these Collecticons. He did only do like 2 songs because that's basically all he has. He did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles song, and then he did Ice Ice Baby, like everyone would want. But it was really cool. He had a lot of people come on stage with him and like dance, and he was kind of DJing, and he did probably maybe like a half an hour set. I don't think it was very long because he only did 2 songs, but then he kind of covered a few songs, and then he DJ'd some songs. And a lot of people were into it. A lot of people were up front. A lot of people were dancing on stage. There was like a 40 or 50-year-old guy that did a full verse rapping to Ice Ice Baby. Vanilla Ice was like holding the microphone to him, and he rapped the whole verse. It was epic. So I mean, it had some cool moments. It was entertaining. It was pretty hilarious. They also had the voice actress Sarah Natacheni, who voices Ash nowadays. I think for the last like 10 or 15 years she's voiced Ash. She's not the original voice actor, but she's been doing it for a very long time. And she went up there at one point. It was just throwing like packs. They just kept giving her modern packs, and she was just chucking them. And I was surprised nobody got hit by a pack. Yeah, I mean, they had some moments that were super cool and super entertaining. Last thing I will say, not a whole lot of kids. There were some kids, but it was mostly like people in the nostalgia era of this whole thing. I would say like 20 to 35 or 25 to 35, probably mostly those guys. There were quite a few kids that showed up to probably get some modern stuff. I think it's difficult because modern you can get in the stores, right? So you're not really going to go to a convention to get modern. Maybe singles for sure. But modern sealed, like you just go to Target nowadays to buy that. So I can imagine kids going to Collecticon, they might not have the same nostalgia for a lot of like the vintage cards that you're going to find there as an older person like me or someone around my age. So I totally understand that. Less kids than I would have expected. A lot more people around like the 25 to 35. There was stuff that was happening at the hotel as well. People were doing like trade meetups in the bar and stuff. I didn't know about this until after the fact, so I didn't get to participate in any of that. I didn't bring any cards with me anyway, but it would have been fun to see what people were peddling, what people were trying to trade, and but unfortunately I missed that. Hopefully next time. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know when the next Collecticon I will go to will be. Probably next year. I don't know if I'll be able to make it to any more this year, but if we have any crazy buys from Japan, I might be able to pay for a ticket, maybe go to Denver or something. I know Denver is one that everyone's kind of going to. There's going to be a big meetup happening in Denver, so maybe we'll have to see. But I hope this was fun. I hope you got to take a look at some footage of everything that happened, and I hope you got to kind of experience it through my lens, me walking around and showing you guys the floor. And I hope you had a good time. And if you did, make sure you hit the like button. Appreciate you being here and supporting the channel as always. Regular content will continue, probably starting more next week because I didn't front load anything, but I've got some cool stuff coming in from Japan. I've got some cool graded cards coming back. So I've got some stuff to record some videos on. I really appreciate it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.